when I was researching through your profile, I saw that you had the opportunity to actually get to talk to the late the senior Benigno Aquino. Um, can you tell us what he was like, at least for those who never even watched an interview of him or never lived during his time, or we only know him from maybe the 500 peso bill, right? Pero how would can you share your experience of meeting him, talking with him?
Mm.
What was he like, etc.?
Yeah, well, as background lang, I went to school. I went to college in the United States, and
Mm.
at the same time that Ninoy Aquino was there, he arrived ahead of of most members of his family. But I only met him. No, so I first saw him in a school auditorium. He was speaking, and then I went to see him in his office because I was doing research. I was 19 years old. I was a second year college, and he was already this prominent exile. But what I remember from my encounters with him is he took me seriously. He did not treat me like this youngster,
Journalist. Yeah.
this
Yeah.
this totoy who doesn't know anything, very naive. No, he took me seriously, and he looked me in the eye. He explained things carefully. He shared honest opinions, and I got to respect him because of that. Kasi, di ba, it would have been easy for someone with that stature, no, to be dismissive of someone who was asking really naive questions. They really didn't
Right.
know very
Yeah.
much. But I guess that was also the politician side of him, diba? I mean, he
Yeah.
knew that I'm a potential voter or someone who could.
A
Or
media
yeah, or
from the
well,
media pa.
I would,
Oh.
yeah. Well, I was in college then, no, so I was just a student
Okay.
doing
Okay.
research. So ganun lang. I was not a journalist, or I did not have any status or any stature by any means, no. So estudyante lang ako, and but he treated me with respect, no, almost as an equal, almost as a peer, no. So um yun, so that's and of course he was very knowledgeable about what I was asking him about. I was researching the US military bases in the Philippines, and we got to talk
Mm,
about a lot of
mm.
other things, no. And I could see that he was, I know, he was very committed to the country. And when he was killed in 1983, August 21, 1983, it changed my life forever. No, I decided that the place for me was in the Philippines.
Wow.
And I was living in the U.S. already. I graduated in 1983, the year that he
Mm.
was assassinated. So I was still, looking around for jobs, and I was thinking of graduate school in the US, etc. I was already in the US, no. And then he went home, he got killed, and then it triggered this huge protest movement. I saw there was a lot happening in the Philippines, and I thought, oh, if I want an interesting life, it's going to be in the Philippines. It's not going to be in America, no, because things are really changing fast. And it was personal. It was something personal because Ninoy was someone I knew, was someone I talked to at length, no. And actually, at that age, I was 19. Well,
Mm.
1983. I was 19 when I met him. When he was killed, I was 20. I was 21. I was 22. I just turned 22.
Yeah.
He was the first person I knew who died. No,
Whoa.
yeah, except when you're young, you don't really know too many people who die, right? I mean,
Right.
aside from
Right.
even your
Right.
grandparents are still alive, right?
Really?
But
Wow.
or now at my age, I know many people who have died. But back then, in my early 20s, there are very few. None of my classmates had died. None of my friends had died. My parents were alive. I mean, di ba? I mean, no, you didn't know anyone who had died, di ba? And Ninoy
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
not just died, but was killed violently. No, so um, and it affected me. It traumatized me, but I think it traumatized me in a good way because it made me committed to something larger than myself. I didn't know what it would be, but I knew that I needed to get out of myself. I needed to get out of my comfort
Mm.
zone because here was this guy.
Ganda.
He got out of his comfort zone. And then he died for what he believed in. And I found that, as a young man, I found that very inspiring. And At that point, I didn't have many commitments. I wasn't married. I didn't have a family. I didn't have a job. So
Mhm.
I decided to, just move back to the Philippines and see what I could do. And I never looked back. I never regretted my decision. And I think I've had a pretty interesting life.
Yeah. Wow. Matt, was that a first? Ninoy Aquino actually inspiring the Howie Severino to be back in
Wow.
the Philippines. I don't know. I've never heard of that before.
Well, you
But
asked you
yeah,
asked the question. Well, thank you for
yeah.
asking.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.